It's a robbery. Call the police for me.
Here's the foul line. That is the foul line. Any blows on the belt are fouls.
Here's the foul line. That's the foul line. Any blows on the belt are fouls. Clear, concise instruction. According to Give It To Him Straight, Yorkshireman Dominic Ingle, it was a legit blow. But he reminds us when the fighter he was training, Bradley Skeet, was violated by Hamza Shiraz. And I think Shiraz is a good fighter, you know that. I think he's pretty good. But he was getting outboxed by Bradley. Hamza got through with a right hand. Bradley was on his way down. And I think the follow-up left, which landed, would have been acceptable. But the follow-up right and left, when he was on one knee and couldn't protect himself, well, if that's not a disqualification, then what is? And Hamza is a Frank Warren fighter. If it was Bradley Skeet teeing off on Hamza on one knee like that, would he have got away with it and got the W? Of course not. It's called house fighter privileges. Now, the parties who believe it's legal and illegal, they're never going to meet in the middle and agree. It's not going to happen. So we need to get past that. The other debate, though, is how can we say Daniel won the fight and was robbed if the referee didn't count? We don't know how USYK would have reacted if there was a count, if the referee deemed the blow legal and started counting. We don't know. It's almost like people expect USYK to act like he was getting counted and try to get up before 10 seconds with his hands up waiting for the referee to wipe the resin off his gloves. USYK acted in accordance with the referee's decision that it was a low blow. If he calls low blow and says you got 5 minutes to recover, him milking it on the canvas is not cheating. He's got 5 minutes to recover. And Dominic is saying as much as well. Even though he thinks the blow was legal, there's nothing to suggest that Dubois had the fight won.
Now, people think that Dubois could have won the fight, but you can guarantee when Usyk went down, if the referee had said, no, it's not a low blow, and started to count him, let's ask this question. Would Usyk have got up? And the answer to that question is Usyk would have got up, and he would have got through that round. He's got enough footwork to move, and if he'd have got up and found himself in a position where he wasn't quite recovered, you know what he'd have done? He'd have gone down again on one knee.
What about the notion that Dubois is known to be a good finisher and there was 2.5 minutes left in that round?
All right, what about the fact that Usyk's a very clever fighter and he knows that when you put it on Dubois enough, he'll quit?
Now, Dominic made some good points, but he can't 100% back up his hypotheticals. Maybe if USYK was counted, he would have got counted out, maybe. But the facts are he wasn't counted, so we don't know how he would have acted if he got counted. We don't know. I don't believe there's any proof of collusion between USYK and the referee. I don't think they scripted it beforehand. Yeah, this is what we're going to do if USYK gets hit in his nutsack. I don't believe that. And I don't believe K2 Promotions staging the fight in Poland was designed to give Daniel the same opportunities as USYK. Let's not beat around the bush. Home fighter privileges as well. That would have been in USYK's favour. So maybe they got the heads up that Daniel was going to go to the body and a few might stray low. So if they did hit borderline or low, USYK would get the benefit of the doubt. I accept that as a plausible theory. I accept that. He did milk it on the canvas, but it looks like some people are confusing him milking it on the canvas with actual cheating. Gamesmanship, there's a thin line between gamesmanship and cheating. To the interviewer,
what about the notion that Dubois is known to be a good finisher?
Who's he beat?
What about the fact that Usyk's a very clever fighter and he knows that when you put it on Dubois enough, he'll quit?
Now Dominic can back that up because the 2 times Daniel has been asked to step up, he's quit. He can back that up with receipts. And I love a receipt, I do. Yorkshiremen like me and Dom love a good receipt. And Don Charles, You know, he can threaten to punch people in their face if they say Daniel quit. But the truth is the truth. Look, Don's probably in his feelings a little. Bit of an odd challenge, but I reckon Dominic Ingle would say it to his face, and that'd be an interesting scrap. I think Dominic will fire back if Don bangs him in the mouth, unless Don flatlines him in one shot.
Usyk's a very clever fighter, and he knows that when you put it on Dubois enough, he'll quit.
Let him come and say to my front face, I'll punch him in the mouth so hard.
Now, apparently Team Dubois did inform the necessary parties that they were worried about USYK'S protector.
Okay, if you have any question, let me give you my short and specific instruction. Okay? You have a question?
Yeah, basically with the groin guard for our opponent, I know the rules, as in we don't want it above where it should be.
Okay, I got it.
That's basically the only thing I could ask you.
Okay.
But then we've seen in pictures that Daniel's trunks were hitched up higher than USYK'S trunks. In saying that, USYK is not a prolific body puncher, so it would be more of a concern to Team Dubois that USYK hasn't got the protector hitched up too high. But Daniel's protector was high as well. Here's a couple of stills of that. But Team Dubois pre-fight telling the commission to make sure USYK doesn't wear his protector too high is almost like insurance that if they plan to throw body shots, borderline or low, they've got the receipt to say, look, we told the commission about this beforehand, and they can say our shots weren't illegal, USYK'S protector was too high, like they said it would be. So that was clever by Team Dubois. You gotta do what you gotta do. When you're fighting away from home, you gotta do what you gotta do. Let's keep it real. Here's a still picture of Daniel throwing another low body shot, below the navel, below the foul line. Daniel's saying he got disheartened after the 5th round because he believed he was robbed. But Daniel's job is to go in there and fight, not to contest the referee's decisions. His job is to go in there and fight. That's what he trains for. The reason he's giving Frank Warren a percentage out of his purse is so Frank will handle the things out of Daniel's control that he doesn't specialize in. You know, Daniel was lucky to get the world title shot. From the first belt to the last, you're supposed to go all out, and you're not supposed to get discouraged unless you get hurt really badly or injured really badly, because then he could at least say, well, the injury prevented him from going any harder. It would be like if Frank was negotiating a fight for Daniel, and Frank comes back to Daniel and says, yeah, I could only get you 20%. And Daniel's saying, well, couldn't you have tried a little harder to get me some more? And Frank says, well, I was disheartened with the whole process, so I went on. Well, Daniel's going to look at him funny, but at the same time, he didn't go as hard as he could in the fight. That's all he's got to do is turn up and fight. And Daniel doesn't realize that this just adds to the notion that he's a quitter. So Daniel lands one borderline shot and it doesn't go his way and he gets discouraged. It's not like he was beating USYK pillar to post and the referee got involved somehow and messed with his momentum. And outside of Tyson Fury, the Queensberry fighters are getting a lot of due for losing efforts. Like the praise that was heaped on Anthony Yard after the Beterbiev fight. He lost the fight. He didn't even deck Beterbiev. He lost the fight. It was a good fight though, but he lost. And Daniel, he doesn't realize how it sounds what he said. He probably thinks, oh, people are going to sympathize with me that I couldn't get it together after the 5th round.
Hell no.
You quit. I didn't see Derek Chisora quit. USYK definitely stunned AJ in the first fight at least. I didn't see AJ quit. Dubois will say he got disheartened, but nah. Dubois got overwhelmed by the occasion. And these are critical points in a fight. One man's on the floor from an alleged low blow or a borderline shot. He's thinking, what's he going to do when he gets up and his opponent tries to take his head off? The other man who scored the borderline alleged low shot, he's thinking, can he get USYK out of there? Do I rush him straight away? Or do I try and pick my shots? And that point there, that 3 minutes that USYK was on the floor, was critical. And Daniel Dubois melted. In fact, USYK finished the round stronger than he did. And after that, there was no way back for Daniel. Yeah, Daniel's borderline punching gave USYK issues. It did. When USYK got off the floor, he had a plan in his head to get Daniel out of there. Daniel, he was feeling sorry for himself, getting disheartened. USYK won the remainder of that round, that 5th round. and proceeded to batter Daniel Dubois, the most aggressive we've actually seen USYK, at least at heavyweight. Look at Daniel claiming a win over a controversial punch, claiming a win in a fight where he was outboxed and outfought by the smaller man, and then eventually quit because he was disheartened. And there's British boxing fans who are actually heralding this guy. Daniel is slightly more ambitious than Eddie the Eagle Edwards, bro. This is pretty sad. So let me try and work this out. The other day, Daniel said he was disheartened after the 5th round. He didn't say the fractured eye that was injured against Joyce was troubling him, or he was injured. He said he was disheartened, which to me suggests he didn't want it no more. Now we could play semantics. He didn't want it no more, he gave up, or he quit. Well, you can phrase it how you want. But now today you're saying you didn't quit? So now Don and Daniel have cooked up this alibi that Daniel was looking at Don, telling him when to get up when the referee was counting, and the referee just stopped it. No, the referee stopped it because he saw Daniel wasn't enthusiastic about the prospect of carrying on. If there was a conspiracy going on, why didn't they just stop it in the round where Daniel was previously flawed? You know, if legends like Carlos Ortiz at 36 years of age can get chastised by his Puerto Rican people for quitting against Ken Buchanan when, you know, he just grew old that night in the ring, well, how is Daniel escaping criticism for quitting at 25 in his physical prime? And it gets no easier from here. Dubois will now be viewed as a scout for upcoming heavyweights. They're going to target that eye like USYK targeted the eye and Joyce targeted the eye. They're going to target Daniel's heart, test his heart. And so far, Daniel's come up short in that department. Tough road ahead. If Daniel can't mentally prepare himself to put himself through the necessary at this level, he can train as hard as he likes. It's a long, long road from here. Long road. Right now, he needs to prove himself amongst the David Adileas and Fabio Wardleys and Fraser Clarks. That's where he is. That's where he is. They made a compilation of body shots that have either inconvenienced USYK or put him on the canvas. There's the left hook from Levitt in 2011. Little short right hand by Artur Beterbiev. There's the Majidov right hand. The Majidov right hand, it looked like it hit the forearm, and so did the Beterbiev shot look like they hit the forearm, but USYK went down. It looked like Majidov's elbow or shoulder rather than the fist put USYK down. Then they showed the AJ body shot from the second fight, and obviously the Daniel Dubois right hand from Saturday. Now, whether USYK fights Fury or Hrgovic in his next fight, it's not so much either man will have a blueprint, because we already knew that USYK doesn't like it down there. Who does? But he is on thin ice if he goes down from either a legit shot, a borderline shot, or a low shot. It's going to look very suspect, and his opponents are going to be wary of that, and more than likely they are going to target that area. They are going to target it, knowing that if USYK doesn't act correctly or he goes down too easy, they may have public opinion swaying on their side more than USYK's. I don't think USYK's got more than a couple of fights left in the game. I don't believe so.
What he did there, you know, and I like Pabon. He's a decent referee, but he got it dreadfully wrong. And he was the referee also in the Joshua's second fight. If you remember, there was a bit of a thing about a low blow there.
Mm-hmm. So now Frank is quoting AJ's borderline punch against USYK to bolster his case that it was the same referee who botched up Daniel's fight against USYK. I put up the receipt of when I quoted AJ's punch minutes after he lost on the same hangout that I was covering the fight. I spoke about the punch where USYK was asking the referee to come save him. I spoke about that. And if I'd said that to Frank Warren, he said, no, you're just making excuses because you support AJ. AJ looks fair and square. But now Frank Warren and Dubois and all the AJ haters want to use that as evidence to bolster their case against USYK. The inconsistency in boxing is horrible. TALKSPORT predictably gave Daniel Dubois and Frank Warren a nice soft spot to land on in this interview. Gave Don Charles a nice soft spot to land on. Talking about Daniel didn't quit. He misjudged the count. He was looking at Don Charles, and when Don Charles told him to get up, he got up and the referee stopped it. He didn't quit.
I didn't quit. There was no quit.
My reaction to it again, and I'm going to steer myself into sharky waters here, was that I felt that there was an acceptance from Daniel, that whether it's a combination of events, the combination of the demoralisation of Usyk beginning to get on top in this fight, albeit the 2 rounds earlier, I think Daniel had his best round besides the knockdown in the 5th round. And I felt, and I was watching the television screaming at him to get up. And I thought that he would get up, and I don't understand, looking at it, obviously I'm not a fighter, and I'm not on the one on the receiving end of this. It's really bloody easy for me to sit here saying the things to a fighter that I will never have to experience. But sometimes I suspect, in order to win world titles, to be in a position, you've got to dig deep. You've got to really bite down. So now, moving on to that, if he's up on 9, we're now talking about a referee waving it off on the basis of what? You've told your fighter to get up, your fighter's got up.
Right, we've not...
So you've got to be equally as fed up with that as well.
You know, in one sentence, Simon literally told us that he thought Daniel quit. But with Frank, Don Charles and Dubois in front of him, he got on their page very quick. And now it's all about the referee stopping the fight. Like, they're questioning the ref on the borderline low punch. So Daniel, Tyson Fury and Frank Warren can do nothing wrong on TalkSport. We've established that, which is a load of bullshit. Problem Eubank Jr. has is he's a good boxer offensively. People say he can't box. That's half true and half not true. He's actually a decent jabber, as he showed in the first fight with Liam Smith, and has a decent arsenal of punches. If Eubank is to stand any chance this fight to avenge the first loss to Beefy, him trying to do all that rolling is not really going to work, because it's too late in the day for him to go there. He needs a more basic defense. Hands up high when you're not punching, and if you are going to drop him, make sure you've at least attempted to gauge the range from where Beefy can hit you and where he can't. Beefy is going to throw in clusters. He's going to throw his punches in clusters, and Beefy's not going to waste his energy. He will tuck up high, a technique he's learnt from Joe Gallagher, to be honest, but he's still using it now. He'll tuck up high, catch all what he can on the gloves. When Eubank stops punching and either admires his work or gets a little lazy, Beefy's going to go to work. And he's going to throw in clusters, and Chris can't roll all of them shots. He can't. I was rewatching the fight today, and like in the first round, Eubank done a nice little move. Like, he pulled back from a shot. You know, a lot of people don't like the pull back and the rolling, but he did it. But he kept his right glove up to block Beefy's right hand. He done it simultaneously. But sometimes in boxing, you have to multitask, and that's where Daniel came up short on Saturday. Daniel's feet didn't look too bad when he was defending, but he wasn't moving his upper body or his head. So even though he didn't look flat-footed and was moving nicely, he was still getting caught by the southpaw lead and the backhand. He was still getting caught. Eubank has to tighten all that up. He has to be consistent and disciplined in defense. Smith, he's just going to keep his hands up. Tight guard. Now, with that tight guard, like when you're hunched up like Liam Smith is, there's one thing you can't see, and that's body shots. And it doesn't matter if they catch half on the torso and half on the elbow, you can't see him, and that's the ones that hurt. Eubank mustn't headhunt. He must pick his shots wherever the openings are available. All this Roy Jones, all this Bo Mack, all this American trainer bullshit. Go and watch what Canelo did to Beefy and try and implement some of that. He took him down with the body shots. Liam has strong legs, and he does use them pretty well to bend, come under a taller opponent's arms and come up with his own shots. He's also a little sneaky. He does that little lead right hand, and it caught Eubank quite a few times. And he's not going to change much. But that almost makes him dangerous, because it's arrogant, innit? That I'm not going to change much. I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and I still feel I'm going to beat you. And that shows a level of confidence and ability. Better the tools that you are accustomed to using, that you know are reliable, rather than trying all this new flashy stuff that can look good in patches, but is it going to get you the results in the long run? Might not be the most stylish fighter, but he beat Eubank. This will be more than likely a tougher fight for Liam Smith. I don't see it going the same way the first one did. Smith had a horrible third round. Technically, he had a horrible third round, but he kept his shape, kept his gloves up, and was looking to punch between Eubank's punches. So he won't be deterred easy, even if he's having bad periods. But too many of them third rounds on the bounce, it might be irretrievable for Smith this time around, letting Eubank get in a groove. But that third round was a gift and a curse for Eubank. He barely got hit. He landed some great uppercuts and jabs, and it might have led him into a false sense of security. Now in the fourth round, where he found himself with his back against the ropes, Eubank, he weaved the first punch, no problem, but the clusters are always dangerous, and he tried to roll all of them. He didn't tie up, and he got caught with an elbow, and by a vicious left hand, found himself on the floor, and he was hurt badly. Well, this time around, I don't expect him to be so loose in defense. I expect a tie-up game. I expect him to take evasive action when his back hits the rope. Tie up, move, keep Liam on the end of that jab. I picked Liam for this rematch, but something's telling me it's going to be a controversial decision or controversial ending in a competitive fight.
You go on, we go on.